It's time to rock and roll!
Will you introduce us?
Yeah. I'll introduce you guys. That was Gina Versa. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to. No, I'm gonna do a real intro right now. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Waffle Press Movie Hangouts. I'm your host, Diego Crespo. With me today is my co-host, Gina Versa.
Hey, how you doing? Good to see you this day after Oscars.
Yeah. Co-host and producer. You do produce the show. I'm gonna start introducing
Yeah.
you as producer as well, because that is what you do. You are a creative producer, not
Uh-huh.
just here, but in other fields like
Yeah.
filmmaking and stuff. And I'm not gonna air out your dirty laundry or clean laundry because you're
Mhm.
constantly hard at work. Um,
Thanks. Yeah.
you got stuff cooking in the oven, and people should get ready for that. Uh,
Uh-huh.
also,
Thanks.
also, uh, uh, friend and part-time co-host, new co-host Maxwell Deering,
Yeah.
Hi.
and
It's
editor
good.
and editor. See,
Yep.
Yeah,
on
editor.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
on the
been
ball.
editing some of our shorts that you could see on YouTube.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
work behind the scenes.
yeah.
Oh
How
yeah.
are you?
Speaking of,
Behind the
I
scenes.
did do
Yeah.
one this morning.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome, dude.
But yeah, no, I'm good. It's it's 2 in the morning. I don't typically do this, but like you know what? Actually, I did I did it last year with Matt. Oh man.
Carry on.
Carry on. Yes, thank you.
Oh, okay.
There's several Matts on Twitter. I'm so sorry.
One of
But
many Matts. Yeah.
yeah, I did it with him last year in August when we recorded our Bones episode. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, no.
Oh, that's sick. Yeah, we love the real Matt C here. Go
Yeah,
check out that
Yeah,
episode.
he's great.
Yeah,
nice.
Max, thanks for being here at this time. Also, producer of the A4E Action for Everyone podcast now as well.
Yep.
Yeah,
I actually was just on last night doing my first kind of hovering roll. I popped in and out, but I was there. So like I'm officially like in the background now, or at least I'll try to be when I
yeah.
can.
Oh,
No.
So
cool.
I listened to your guys' episode on the way to work. So and back. My drive wasn't that long today, thankfully, but long enough
nice.
to listen to the entirety of the podcast. Good episode. Check it out. And then of course we have the great Manish Mathur here, our special guest for today. How are you, my friend? It's so good to have you on.
Thanks so much for inviting me and thinking of me. I'm very happy to be here. Thanks so much. I'm excited to talk about the Oscars and everything with all of you guys.
Yeah. Same. Yeah. Welcome to the show. Thanks for
Thanks.
stopping by.
Yeah, I mean, you've had me on a couple times. We did one episode on Devdas a while back, and
Yeah.
that movie it really like rocked my world, and it's
Uh,
so good.
I'm sorry to hear
And
that.
I would encourage everyone to go check out that episode. And you you run a really tight ship over your podcast at Pod to Be You.
Oh
Um,
God.
it is one of my favorite podcasts to tune
Oh,
into.
thank you.
You
That's
know,
very sweet. It's not a tight ship at all. I hardly do any work for it, but it's a lot of fun to do and I get a lot of really great guests. Taking a bit of a hiatus right now, but it'll be back in April. So not that long of a hiatus, but yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun. We did oh gosh, Romancing the Stone, right? That was
Romancing the Stone,
That's
yeah.
and then
Oh,
And Rosemary's Baby. Yeah.
Rosemary's Baby. Yeah, and
Yeah, it was a great time.
I was,
on my
and
forever list.
oh
Rosemary's
yeah,
Yeah.
Baby. I gotta
oh
get
yeah,
there.
no, it's unfortunately, and Manish really did a good job of like coaching me, like, hey, like, let's not shy away from this. Let's not focus too much on it. Let's don't be a downer. Like, let's just talk about the movie, and there's
Yeah.
a certain man who unfortunately directed it and who is a monster who just happened to make good
yeah.
movies. Both things can be true. And hey, if you see
Yeah.
him in France, on site,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
doesn't have to
Yeah.
be here anymore.
Citizens
Yeah.
arrest.
Yes. Someone could take care of that and I wouldn't be too upset. But I'm not too upset today in the aftermath of the Oscars. I'm gonna go to a gallery mode so we see all of our beautiful faces. Um, I would say last night was mostly the most entertaining Oscars I had seen in like the last decade since like Billy Crystal popped in
Mm,
like a couple
yeah.
times. Um, I'm sure there's stuff I'm missing, and people will be like, "What about this?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, you're right." But
The
like just off the
slap.
top of my head, like it
The
was like
slap. Yeah. The
fun to
slap.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta
Um,
bring that up.
but that was a moment, which you are
Uh,
all absolutely correct. Like, yeah,
mhm.
wow. but like the presentation was like pretty good. The bits
Yeah.
were like, even when they like weren't
Mhm.
super funny, they kind of became charming because like everyone was having fun with it. It wasn't like
Yeah.
strained, you know?
It wasn't
And
forced. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like
Wasn't. Yeah.
with the exception of Jimmy Kimmel, who I don't even like hate,
Right.
he's not like a super big movie guy.
Uh-huh.
Um, like I would just wish they had a better host sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
Like I
Do
want a guy
you
who's really excited about movies.
like
Like,
I feel I was gonna say you know, I feel like someone like even like Conan, who we do love. I think Conan, because I would feel like Conan, he knows his movies. Like
Didn't they start doing a multi-host the past few years because they couldn't get anybody?
Yeah,
oh,
they
like
had
it
like
was interchanging. Yeah, that happened like a couple of
I feel
times.
like it's such a hard job just
Uh-huh.
because like if the ceremony doesn't go well, even if it's out of your control, but the ceremony doesn't go well, you're the face of it. And like I feel like Jimmy Kimmel, they ask him every time. He's an ABC guy. He's been on the like, and he's like, I think he's like bulletproof from that. You know, like he
Mhm.
survived the slap. He survived the La La Land Moonlight
Yeah.
mix up.
Yeah.
So I feel like if it's, I don't like his jokes. I thought some of them were a little mean
Mhm.
yesterday,
Yeah.
and a
yes, especially at
little
the beginning.
insensitive. Yeah, like his jokes for Robert Downey Jr. I thought were really mean, and like Robert Downey Jr. does not need me to defend him or
Right.
feel
Right.
sorry for him, but I'm like, it's his biggest night, and you're calling him a drug addict, which
Right.
I know he's been
Oh,
open about that a lot, but like I don't know, it felt a little. I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of his jokes in the monologue felt very distasteful and
Yeah.
insulting, and I'm like, we don't need a hundredth joke about how long Killers of the Flower Moon is.
Hmm.
It's long, but it's worth the time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so I don't know, but it's like I made my peace with he's just gonna be the guy until like someone else says like my dream would be someone like like Channing Tatum
Mm.
or even bring back Anne Hathaway. Like I think she would
Hmm.
do much better this time around, but like
Yeah.
I just don't think
Not.
anyone wants to do it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Definitely bring her back and not James Franco, the other
No,
host that
mm.
year.
I don't
Yeah.
think he's allowed on the premises. I don't
Yeah.
think he's
Yeah.
allowed on
Yeah.
the
He's
I didn't
street the
even
people.
awards
realize
are presented on.
Hathaway did it.
Yeah, like about 10
Yeah.
years
Yeah. It
ago, it was
was kind
her
of.
and James
Mhm.
Franco, and like she was trying so hard to
Mhm.
like
mm.
be a good host, and he was just like stoned out of his mind,
Yeah. It
most likely,
was.
and just kind of
Yeah.
like had no
Ugh.
energy. So she looked like a crazy person. I mean,
Yeah. Poor.
even
Poor
it really
Anne.
makes you feel bad. I know.
Poor Anne.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, I just
Yeah.
think I'm just, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point because it's like, yeah, for sure, like someone like Downey, like, I'm sure like he's probably heard all those jokes before. Like they're annoying, but it's like he's not gonna be phased and we don't need to defend him. But certainly, it's certainly right to like call it like distasteful jokes or like jokes that are just not good, you
I
know?
Not
also
funny.
wonder
Yeah.
if they're going with Kimmel. Not to bring up the slap again, but
Yeah,
maybe
sure,
because
sure.
last year with Chris Rock, they're probably like, yo, we don't want to piss anybody off where someone gets slapped on stage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So they
exactly.
go with someone who makes a joke about someone being an
yeah.
addict. Yeah. So
I will
What
say the
oh yeah.
most I've ever liked Kimmel was like how he handled that. Basically, just like, oh, I'm sorry, guys. Like I didn't know. Like a very human response, you know? Or
Yeah,
like
yeah.
after Moonlight ends up winning, he walked on
Yeah.
stage like, oh, just very like
Yeah.
very humble. Like,
Like,
oh,
what do you
I knew I
do?
was gonna mess
Like,
it up. I'm sorry.
yeah,
Like,
Yeah. What
yeah.
movies do you think Kimmel actually watches? Because it's like he doesn't really seem like a movie buff. I'm sure he watches like some stuff, probably with his kids or
I mean, I'm
something.
sure he's seen like Barbie,
Barbie,
yeah.
yeah. He watched
maybe
one movie.
Oppenheimer.
Yeah. He watched like 2 or 3 movies this year and he's like, I think that's good enough, right? That's
Yeah.
something.
he's a five
Yeah.
movie a year guy, you know?
I
Yeah.
That's
just
just
like
Five
fine.
can't.
exactly
Yeah,
5 movies.
maybe he watched like The Creator
Maybe,
or
yeah.
Mission
Like on
Impossible, but like
Hulu. He watched
I
it on
can't.
Hulu.
I can't picture him watching Maestro, or like
Yeah.
Anatomy of a Fall. Like I just like I'm trying to picture it. And I just like it comes up blank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
That's
he goes to see the biggest stuff that comes out in a year. And so I think
yeah.
he probably saw Oppenheimer, he probably saw Barbie.
Yeah.
He might have checked out some of the other nominees, but
Yeah.
like
Might have.
yeah,
I
probably not much. Yeah.
Yeah, I know a movie for sure he had to watch because he's in like actually a few movies. So he's seen movies that he's in, but he
Mm.
voices Batman in Teen Titans Go to the Movies, one of the best
Mm.
animated DC films. So at least he saw a good movie a while ago, but
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, definitely wasn't his best night.
No,
Conan though, Conan would be a good host.
Conan would be a great host,
Yeah,
and
Well,
I would
like
want
John
him.
Mulaney, I thought like brought the
Mulaney,
house
yeah.
down, just in
Mhm.
like 2 minutes, and I'm like, this is much like, I don't know if you guys saw his like monologue at the governor's ball,
I have no.
or, like the honorary awards, like, um, he like he makes fun of the movies, but in a way that feels like he's actually watched them and appreciates them, not just like, oh my God, it was so long, who cares? But like, and his jokes I thought were really funny at the Oscars. And I'm like, he should be someone that like they should get because like people like him, people know who he is, and he's like actually a movie fan and actually can like create real jokes that are funny,
Yeah,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
harder than it looks, but he can do it.
yeah. I
Look,
mean,
we're
yeah.
all
That's the other thing. It's like it is a very hard job. Like we're just here talking shit, but like it is a
Mm.
hard job. We all understand that for sure. And
we're all
yeah,
complaining, but we're
Mulaney
one
killed
step
it.
away from them getting a TikToker up there, and then it's over.
Don't joke like
No,
that.
I,
Don't
I
joke.
think
It might
yeah, no,
happen.
no.
Don't even put
Gene
that
and
out
I
in the
have
air.
Don't. Yeah, you're gonna like
Gene.
will it into
Yeah,
existence,
and
like
Gene and
manifest
I,
it.
we have like an enemies list of TikTokers at the moment.
Yeah, yeah.
Any of the
It's
people
completely
on the
one-sided,
Dune
but
2
still.
press junket?
Oh God.
No
Oh,
comment. Further,
I
no
just
comment
saw,
on
I'm sorry, I
this.
just saw a video of like this guy asking Zendaya if it's weird to kiss her friend. And I'm like, you have Zendaya in front of you
Yeah,
and you're gonna ask her this stupid question. Like, you should
yeah.
be like groveling at her feet for being in your presence. Like, it's
Mm.
You know what?
Zendaya.
I
Like,
have the perfect host they can get. Mark Phillips. He's from the
Oh,
Vine days. You know him. The black kid. He hangs out with all his friends. They do all those funny videos. They live in that big ass house in suburbia.
RDC World, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
get
think
them.
that's their stuff. Yeah, I
Yeah,
really like him too. Like, I don't think that's an insane choice. I think give
he's
that a couple years. Let's circle back to that.
he might be too
That's
abrasive though, because they might bring out the blackness up on that show, and the Oscars like, oh no.
and then everyone will start pearl clutching and shit.
Yeah,
yeah,
No,
yeah,
I don't know. That could cook. That could be
yeah.
something. I really
That's
like the
funny.
Mulaney stuff though.
Yeah.
Like
Mulaney. Yeah, that would be
his
awesome.
bit on there. I think, and the audience really responded to it too.
Yeah, what a good cut though. Madam Web reference on the Academy Awards.
Oh well, that was low hanging. That
Researching.
was a little low
I
hanging
know that
fruit,
was.
but
I love that one.
well, whatever.
Researching spiders in the Amazon when my mom died. Iconic.
I love that
Iconic.
line.
It's actually. It's like it's not even in the movie. It's a good
Yeah.
trailer line. Yeah.
Yeah, when I heard that, I was like, that's my one deterrent of seeing the movie is that like that line's not in it. And I'm like, because I'm a like very morbid curiosity about Madame Web, to be honest.
I have a little
It's
bit of that too. Like
yeah.
I
It
almost
was.
did watch it, and then I haven't been able to after all. But I
Mhm.
got close, and I do think there's stuff to like not even just for entertainment value, but I think it's fun to like do a post-mortem, to do like an autopsy on like what happened to this movie. Because at one
Right.
point someone wanted to make a motion picture with a beginning, a middle, and an end.
A good like an
Yeah, someone
actual
probably
movie.
cared at one point. How did
I
we
don't know.
get
It might be
here?
a good podcast episode.
That could
Yeah.
be. I'll have to
Yeah.
see
No.
Madam Web first, but let's
Yeah.
I
one thing at a time.
that weekend came out, and I had this tweet all ready to go. It was it was a horny bonk tweet. It was the sorry, you can blurb this out. It was the horny nigga strangler with Batman. And I was ready, and then I forgot because I'm like, oh yeah, nobody's gonna go watch this, so I
Yeah.
guess I'm good. I don't need to do this.
Saved in your drafts.
Ready to go, ready for this movie to like burst in the weekend, and then nobody fucking saw it.
But you were planning ahead. You were planning
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah, because
And I do
I knew why
respect
that was gonna make money, but then it didn't make money.
Well, when it comes out on Blu-ray or digital, you can put it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Without that
Maybe we could do a
banger
watch
tweet.
party or something.
Mm.
Yeah.
I still got to watch the J-Lo movie though, but for
Oh,
the
which-
Oscars,
Oh,
so
okay.
we don't go on our insane tangents already.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even back like when the nominations were announced, I was like, this is like not too bad. Like these are
Mhm.
like there's some
good.
some sinkers for sure.
I think I
Um,
remember most people thinking that the nominations were mostly safe.
Mhm.
It was all of the big stuff that we had been hearing about. been like, I know especially for you, Diego, no Ferrari, which was soul crushing.
Dude, it was
But
brutal.
like there was no Ferrari, there was no Iron Claw. There were some, I think, misses for the most part that people were a bit surprised about. But all in all, I do think like yeah, it was fine. It was safe. And from what I heard, because I didn't watch the whole thing, I was incidentally and dozing in and out while laying in bed looking for one award in particular.
Oh.
But I think for the most part, like everybody was fairly like happy. I think the only other one besides the big upset was best adapted screenplay, at least for wins. But yeah, no, the nominations I thought resoundingly were pretty good. Yeah. Just in the nomination front, not even getting to actual wins.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
even then, I think the wins were pretty good. But
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
go to our guest. Manish, what did you like? What was your response for initially the nominations, and then I guess most of the wins or some
I
of the
mean,
wins?
I was really happy with the nominations. Of course, like every year, there's always going to be a few movies that don't make the cut, and that's always upsetting. Like for me, the main one was like, as you mentioned, Max the Iron Claw, which I really loved, and All of Us Strangers. Those are my two big misses, and like I think May December underperformed, but I mean, I don't. I'm someone that follows the Oscar race year round. Like, my favorite time of year actually is sort of like in this like early period when like, the movies haven't really been released yet, and like I was just kind of like, what's the year gonna look like? And like, Little Gold Men, the like awards podcast from Vanity Fair, like they do a year ahead Oscars kind of not like predictions, but they're just like here are all the movies that are coming out, and like maybe they could play or not, we don't know. So I kind of like tracking it in like from like March to like September, October, because like as like the precursors and the guilds start to like come up, then it's like these as we're saying, like it starts to take shape, then things become a little bit more predictable. So I was really happy, and I feel like the reasons why like the movies that got a little less attention was just like because of like it's a the studios had other priorities, or there wasn't enough money in the campaign, or they just like came out like the Iron Claw. Unfortunately, I think this came out so late that like by time I think A24 realized they had like a hit on their hands, it was just like too late. They were already put all their money into the Zone of Interest and Past Lives and everything. But I was really happy. I mean, I think the nominations for Best Picture, it's like to me, it's like the gold standard of what these nominations can be. Like all 10 of these movies were so different from each other. They were all hits in varying ways. They all had conversations around them. Some of them, of course, really positive conversations, some of them more negative, but at least people were like watching and talking about them. And that's to me the most important thing. Like, I don't really care if you hate a movie, don't like a movie, or love a movie, but I'm like, at least you're watching something and you're talking about it and you're engaging. And like, I think that took a lot of risks, like the Zone of Interest being like an art piece more than like a narrative movie was such a risk. And it got so many nominations and won 2 awards. And I was pretty happy with the wins. I mean, the adapted screenplay, I'm a huge fan of American Fiction. Like I really love that movie. And I feel like it kind of became like less appreciated as the season went on. But I really enjoyed that movie. I thought the screenplay was actually very clever in how it really balanced out its satire and family drama, and sort of like makes you think about why you liked one part better than the other, and your own relationship to like marginalized communities, stories, and stuff like that. But and like I was a big Oppenheimer fan. Like Barbenheimer was like such a big moment for me as well. Like I saw both those in theaters with my mom. And my mom and dad sat through Oppenheimer in theaters without going to the bathroom. They're very riveted by it. So I'm very, but it's like, to me, it's like, it's so cool that like this movie that made like so much money, was such a cultural moment, is now like our Best Picture winner. Like that's, to me, I'm always like less concerned with like, is my favorite movie winning Best Picture, which it did this year and has many times in the past. But like, I'm more concerned with like, what does Best Picture say about our like our movie year? And like to me, Oppenheimer, I mean, and Barbie too, like I don't want to discredit that, but to me, like Oppenheimer is like, yeah, this was a cultural moment where everyone watched this like R-rated 3-hour historical epic that's all conversations, very little action, and just like from one of our most visionary like filmmakers. And it's just like, yeah, like that is what his best picture should be. It should be like a representation of what we are watching. And like I think very rarely does that happen in the truest sense. Like Parasite was like that. You know, I think Everything
Shape of
Ever All at
Water.
Once was like that. Yeah, but Shape of Water like didn't really capture the mainstream. Like it did and it didn't. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to tell sometimes what people are watching, but like definitely like to me like Titanic is like the gold standard in my lifetime of like this was a moment. This was like a genuine pop culture moment. And I think that Oscars should award that as much as awarding on the merit. And I think with Oppenheimer, it was definitely that. So it was definitely like a culture, like unmistakable, unescapable cultural moment. So like to me, like people seeing, like I know people who aren't into movies going to see Oppenheimer multiple times, and I'm like, yeah, this is crazy. Like, so yeah,
Yeah.
I was very happy. I
Yeah.
mean, I agree that the show was really well produced. The in memoriam sequence aside, which I thought was very awful. But other than
Yeah.
Oh,
that, I
really?
mean,
What
like
happened? I didn't
Yeah.
they had
see.
like
Yeah.
dancers, like it was very
Yeah.
strange.
That was weird. Yeah.
I was
Wait,
gonna
so they
say
have pictures of all the people who died of it last year, and they've got people
yeah,
just dancing.
They were doing like
perform-
ballroom dancing or something on the stage, and like
yeah,
because they had to show the dancers, they couldn't really do close-ups of the like slideshow, so that you couldn't even see the names. And
yeah,
like,
that was really
Jesus.
weird. If I die and I'm in the memoriam, I'm gonna put like something in my will. I'm like, don't include me if there's performative dance over my thing. The other thing too, I was gonna point out for the memoriam, I've never seen like if they I don't know if like they're pressed on time, all the names that they have left were just all on one slide.
yeah, like
So
what
it's
is
almost
that?
like
That
it's like
was like
we're
repulsive
yeah,
to me.
Oh,
it's like we're
Jesus.
honoring you, and the rest.
But
And it's
it
like
brings
yeah, it's
it
like
brings up
yeah.
an interesting question because as you know with the latest episode of A4E we just had Brandon on, and I know and this is all interconnected, but we had Brandon Streisnig on. Sorry, Brandon, if I killed your last name. But he just had the Stud Awards with Vulture, and I know that the Oscars they brought up stunts, and then I guess they casually dismissed not giving them a stunt award category for whatever reason. And this ties into the in memoriam segment because ultimately the question I think that's worth asking is who are the Oscars for? Because essentially they should be for Hollywood and for the public, but they host this what over the span of 2-3 hours televised event, and forgive me because I live out here, so like I've got at least 6 hours on you, so the last few years I'm not staying up to watch it. But if the televised event is 3 hours, it's not really a whole lot of time for you to give the love and support to this art form, which this is supposed to be. Because I know a good chunk of the awards, they are oh hey, we just gave best sound editing to these people. All right, let's keep going. Here's best actress, that sort of thing. And so the question is, who are these awards for? Because if you really want to celebrate this art medium, shouldn't you be giving everyone the love and time they deserve for however much? Because I know you got money, you're a billion-dollar industry. I know you can afford the televised air. Don't tell me you're not. I know you're cheap. You can't be that cheap, but apparently they are. So I think that's also a constant question in terms of just the show
I
itself.
think
Because
if I may answer that, because I think it's a really complicated question because um I I listen to a lot of awards podcasts, mainly Little Gold Men, as I mentioned, and this had Oscar buzz and the Big Picture. So those are the three main ones that I listen to, and it's kind of like this interesting thing of like I think the Academy Awards as a telecast is serving multiple masters. So like of course they have ABC and all the like ad revenue and whatever they have to deal with. They have the movie fans like us who want to see montages and clips and like have like let everyone speak for 5 minutes about about whatever they want and like have like a lot of celebration of cinema. And I agree, like that should be the purpose, but then they also have to like think about the audiences of people that are just like tuning in just to like tune in and like who might not care about like the Zone of Interest or Anatomy of Fall or Poor Things or whatever, because they're just like, okay, the Oscars are on, we're just gonna watch it. And then like I think ABC or whoever is like televising these events, they're always worried about like normal everyday audiences who
Mhm.
will watch it and turn it off after 20 minutes because it's a bunch of like rich celebrities talking about movies they've never heard of. I mean, that's why like there's always so much push for like, okay, let's get blockbusters nominated because people will watch. And then I actually just saw before we recorded that this was the most watched Oscars in 4 years with like
Oh wow.
19 million people watching, which is crazy. Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's we're always seeing decreases, and yeah, it's because like Barbie was nominated, it's
Mhm.
because Oppenheimer was nominated, it's because like Spider-Verse was nominated, like these were all like big hits um that like normal people watched or like non-movie fans watched. So I think it's hard to really tell who these like awards are for.
Mhm.
And I think there's always this thing of like, I mean, we see it every year. They're always making jokes about the ceremony being too long. I think last night was actually the shorter. It was under 3.5 hours. I think it was
Jesus.
3 hours and 15 minutes. And yet I didn't feel like they were actually rushing people off. I think they played
Mm.
off some of the technical speeches, but
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
they always
The
do that
actual
because those are
craft of
not,
it. Yeah.
yeah, they always do that.
Yeah.
And like, I think someone actually was able to like stop the orchestra. They like kept talking, the orchestra stopped. I forget who it was.
Good on them.
I feel like it
Mhm.
was the Zone of Interest. There was someone or
Yeah.
maybe it was maybe it was a costume designer or someone. I have to go back and check. But like I actually felt yesterday did not feel very rushed. It's because they weren't doing like sketches for one thing,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
bringing in like normal people into the auditorium or whatever. And I actually felt like everyone got a chance to like give a full speech. But I mean, I missed the clips, and like, of course, we had like the five presenters, presenting each nominee, which I love that. So I felt like actually last night felt like much more of a celebration than definitely was like last year when like it was just a lot of like, let's go, let's go, let's go. But I don't know, it's hard to tell. I mean, I want to say the Oscars are for like people like us, but I actually don't know if that's true all the way.
I wonder
Yeah.
if a potential out, and I again don't know if they do this, but what if if they mainly premiere it through ABC, and they have to have ad breaks, fine, sure. But then why not also do their own separate live cast where if you watch it through, I don't know, let's say the official Oscars channel through Twitter, for instance, a live stream, then there are no breaks. And so you can just tune in through that. And so when they do the best editing, they can if for instance if that's one of the awards that they skip over, then if you're a movie fan, you can watch the live stream instead of watching the commercial. You can watch the whole ceremony from beginning to end without ad breaks. I don't know. Maybe that's a way to do it. And then
Mhm.
for people who want to, go grab a drink while commercials are on,
Mhm.
they can come back and they'll get an update. Oh, hey, while you were gone, excuse me,
Yeah.
these awards were given out.
I think eventually we're going to see award shows on streaming networks or like
Mhm.
streaming services like Netflix or something. I think that's in the future. So
Mm.
I think you're very, very spot on, Maxwell.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I've
that's
had
yeah.
conversations with mutual Twitter pals too about like how the Game Awards,
Mhm.
which are even more
Yeah.
like overproduced and like specific and corporate
Yeah.
interests
Yeah.
than the
Yeah.
Oscars, like, but
For
they
sure.
stream on the internet. They stream on
Mhm.
Twitch,
It's on
and
Twitch,
it's
yeah.
like 80+ million views.
Yep.
You know, that's like that's Super Bowl numbers. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or maybe not Super Bowl numbers, but pretty close. Pretty close, and it's like that's pretty good. It's and of course just because the Oscars would hypothetically make that leap, that doesn't mean they're going to get 80 million views or even 50 million views or even 25 million views, but it could happen, and I think a lot of that is like accessibility. I think
Yeah.
that's like partially a benefit for the Oscars too, like just making movies like known to people. I think that's like a gateway to like curiosity, it's
Yeah.
letting people know, like, like I got my godparents being like, yeah, you watch that Poor Things, how was that, it's like, it's great. I wouldn't watch it with you though. Like it's
Yeah,
terrific.
that's an awkward watch
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
actually,
Yeah.
fun fact, I probably mentioned this to on the podcast before. I definitely mentioned
Mhm.
it to Gene, but like my godparents like were like, did you watch The Favorite? And I was like, oh yeah, I love that movie. Like,
Mhm.
we thought it was awful. And I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't have recommended it to you because I know their
Yeah.
taste. But
Mhm.
their interest is piqued when they hear like a movie has a lot of accolades and stuff. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's the positive side of these things. Like,
Mhm.
representation will not save us, but the idea that you can like learn about something or like find out for yourself whether or not something's for you. I think that's such a great way to discover art, you know.
Hmm.
You know, for the people that have like 9 to 5s and like they don't live and breathe movies, you know, they have like a life, what we call like 5 movie a year
Yeah.
people, you know, like they if they get interested in like what's the zone of interest and it's like buckle up. Not an easy watch, but
Yeah.
hey, you know, I'd recommend it.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
Maybe
and
go,
then
maybe watch
of
something nice
course,
and fluffy afterwards.
yeah, maybe
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
uh or like Killers of the Flower Moon. That one it wasn't like a runaway hit by any means. Maybe not
No.
even a real hit, but it
Mm.
like the critical conversation made its way to like normal human people in my family, you know, where
Yeah.
I'm getting asked about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, like the big topic of discussion is we haven't talked about it yet, but you know, I think everyone kind of assumed Lily Gladstone was gonna win, and she definitely gave my like favorite female performance of the year, my favorite actress performance of the year, outside of Penelope Cruz, who was snubbed,
Okay. Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But who I think is whatever. I talked about that enough already.
Mm.
Stay tuned for the Ferrari podcast.
Mm.
But you know, Lily Gladstone, like if she had, I guess if the nomination ended up not being like super culturally important, you know, and this is not on her. This is not in the movie. It's a systemic issue that
Mm.
an Indigenous Native American woman gets the chance to like have a cultural moment with a
Yeah.
nomination and probable win. I think a lot of people assume she was going to win,
Yeah.
and
She
to
Yeah.
would have
have
been the
that,
first Native American win, right? Potentially.
Yeah, I
I,
think so.
yes,
yeah.
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 yeah,
So they, I mean, that was a shoe in just to have everything you
hmm
that was an easy win, not just for her because her performance is good, but also for the Oscars because like they could have their
Yep.
cake and eat it too. You know, they get
Yeah.
to coast
yeah. They get to
another
pat
year
themselves on
on
the back and
representation.
like, look,
Yeah,
we're progressive,
exactly.
and it's like
Yeah,
we all know that's bullshit, but hey,
Yeah.
we would all
yeah,
win with that.
yeah,
And I think I don't think it's controversial to say. I think even Emma Stone, when her name was announced, she was like, "Oh no,
yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think that was for me."
She had the same
And
Her
she
look
gives a
her
great
speech
Oppenheimer had.
performance. This is
felt
nothing
like an
against her.
apology.
She what?
I said her speech felt like an apology. Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
you could tell that
Yeah.
she didn't have anything prepared. She was like totally flustered and like she gave a special shot. I mean, so I don't know. It's complicated because I really loved Poor Things, and Emma Stone's my favorite actor, or she's one of them. So like,
Uh-huh.
and I feel like both times she's won, there's always been this like weird thing. I'm like with La La Land, like the whole mix up happened. Now this
Yeah.
is happening. I'm like, let this girl enjoy a moment, please.
Or Emma
Mhm.
Stone.
It is
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
one of those things because I think it's the Golden Globes. I talked about this with somebody else. The Golden Globes, they have like best musical and comedy and like best performance in musical and comedy. And I don't know if that's too much splitting hairs with the Oscars, but I don't know why you also don't just do that because I came very close to seeing Poor Things weekend, but just life got in the way. But it is I've seen that clip going around with Mark Ruffalo, and I know it's funny.
It's
So
hysterical. Yeah.
yeah, so I don't know why you also can't have that because in that same breath, she could have won for a hypothetical best female supporting actress in a musical or comedy, and then Gladstone could have just ate with best actress overall.
Mhm.
But again, I have no idea if the Oscars were to do that, if that's like somehow degenerating to someone not in a musical or comedy or vice versa. But yeah, no, I think yeah, there was two events I think that night where people were very upset about because it seemed like a show and then another one that everyone was like fuck yeah, this is great.
Yeah. It almost like, yeah, I don't know, it kind of left a bad taste in your mouth for mostly a like pretty good ceremony. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I
very unfortunate. Yeah.
I
So
agree, but I think that it's kind of interesting because um I think that in Martin Scorsese movies, somehow,
oh yeah.
I think the Academy takes them for granted. And like
Mm,
I should mention, the Academy is not this like group of like 5 people in a room. Like it's
mm,
thousands of members, and like
Mhm.
I really don't like myself to, talk about it as if it's like a monolith of like a people. Like it's
mhm.
obviously like many people across many different branches across the world of all different ages and whatever. But
Yeah.
so they're not a monolith, and it's not like, but I do think that in general, people who are in the industry, perhaps, and I think they take Scorsese for granted because he's been nominated a lot. Of course, he's only won the one time, almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But I think there's this thing of like, okay, we don't need to award his, because, I would be more um shocked by this. I mean, I did put her in my prediction as winning, and I was hoping it would be for many reasons. One, because I think it's a really brilliant, subtle performance, and I think it's something that will only really grow in estimation for people over time. Like I think her performance is really strong, and I think she's an incredible actress, incredible in interviews. Like everyone was just charmed by her this whole year, and like having watched her in like Certain Women, way back when, like that was such
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful performance, and
Mhm.
she's a beautiful person inside and out, just like the way she carries herself. So like I'm very sad for her, but I do think that this thing goes even further than just her as an actress and her as a representative of her people, but because I think it's also a Scorsese thing, and like I'm kind of disappointed to see how much it's being made of. Like I'm not disappointed, but I'm a little surprised that people really aren't putting together that like Scorsese, like this would have happened if this was like any other movie or any other actor, because I do think that there's this like very very just yeah, like taking Scorsese for granted thing going on. Like The Irishman won nothing, Silence won nothing, The Wolf of Wall Street won nothing. Like he hasn't won an Oscar. His movie has not won an Oscar since Hugo, which was like almost, I guess, like 15 years ago, 10 years
Yeah.
ago. So like
Yeah.
I think that there's also this thing of like, yeah, like Yorgos Lanthimos, like his movies are new and they're fresh, and he's like this like amazing young. I mean, he's not that young. I think he's in his 40s or 50s, but like
Mhm.
he's like this
Yeah.
new talent that people just kind of discovered, like with The Lobster, and The Favorite. And Emma Stone is obviously she's becoming a like generational talent, with her work in Poor Things and her work in The Curse, on Showtime and Paramount. So like I think that there's just like I think like with Scorsese, like there's no like surprise or like narrative when he makes a masterpiece, because like he only makes masterpieces. Like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like it's
Mhm.
so, it sounds awful to say, and like I sound like a crazy person when I say it, because it's like it's Scorsese. Like I just bought After Hours on Criterion. Like I love the guy, and like I would love, but it's just like I feel like it's the same thing with Spielberg too. Like these
Mhm.
guys, like they just kind of get taken for granted, and we kind of forget like to really appreciate, not we, but like I think in general, like there's this like loss of like urgency to appreciate them, because like they've been doing amazing things forever and they're always putting out hits. So like I just feel that um I'm curious to see kind of where Scorsese goes from here. And I mean, Lily Gladstone, like I pray to God that her career is bright and that her, her future is,
Mhm. Same.
showered with praise and roles and everything. I mean, I kind of also am very hesitant to award women of color awards for their breakout movies, just because like as you've seen so many times, it's just is a curse. I mean, it can be a curse.
Yeah.
If you look at someone like Lupita Nyong'o or Jennifer Hudson, who are very talented and have had good careers, but like never quite taken off. That's why I was very much kind of happy that Stephanie Hsu did not win an Oscar last year, because I'm like, you know what? Let her like kind of build up a resume
Yeah.
rather than
Yeah.
like give her a
And she still
breakout
has the
Oscar.
nomination.
He
So
got the
that
nomination, and I think that's almost better. And like Charles
Yeah.
Melton too, for a male example. Like, I mean, he didn't get the Oscar nomination, but like his profile is way out there, and now he's not like he didn't like reach the zenith of his career so young, so there's nowhere more to climb. And so I mean, Lily Gladstone is not. I mean, she's not a teenager, but like
Right.
she's still like in her like early stage of her career, where like now I feel like there's potential for her to like really build on this nomination and build on this year. And I hope that the people that she's surrounded with are, helping her do that. I'm sure they are. And I hope that someone like Lanthimos or Noah Baumbach or any of these guys or whoever, Justine Trier, whoever, I hope they're like watching, being like, yeah, let's get her in here.
Yeah.
Cord Jefferson, Bradley Cooper, any of these people.
Because
But
I
yeah,
think
I just
also
yeah.
it not, especially Kills of the Flower Moon not winning. I will say I think all last year in terms of 2023 films, there was something in the water in terms of American sins,
Hmm.
both affecting America and other countries. Uh, and I do think there's something to water with that, but it does speak to an extent, I think, that the Oscars, I won't say they won't really touch thornier subject matters, but talking about Oppenheimer, which was the very big winner of last night, is much different than talking about uh, Kills of the Flower Moon in terms of what its subject matter is about. And yeah, you can definitely, I think, make the argument, especially with Nolan, that Oppenheimer was not made like your traditional biopic, not edited, not paced, not it doesn't move like any biopic I think you see we traditionally see that typically gets praised. Um, and I think also because of Killers of the Flower Moon doesn't necessarily as well, but you see how much Oppenheimer took home the bacon last night as opposed to Kills of the Flower Moon, which didn't take home anything. And I think it's something interesting that that subject matter seems almost maybe too dark for them to give any voice to. I say that I know that the Osage they did end up playing at the Oscars, which again is nice, but
Mhm.
I think it would have been nice also if for that win to give some acknowledgement to some of the original sins outside of, nuclear destruction. uh,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really well said. Yeah.
Yeah. Well said. Yeah, it is strange that such a heavy movie was like, yeah, that's the one, that's the shit right there. I'm gonna watch that a dozen times in theaters and IMAX, and it's like it's just depressing.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
think
it's
there
it's a great
is
movie, but it is
I
like, oh
think there's
man, yeah.
something like I think World War II, because like we also have the Zone of Interest, we know won 2 awards, and like it won a technical award in Best Sound, which I think it's like the crowning achievement of the movie is its sound design. I mean, and I think World War II is just feels different than because I think with like the genocide that happened
Mhm.
and during the colonial era and before, like I just think that's just so much more. I think that's so much harder for Americans to really stomach,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
because it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's not the Nazis. Like the Nazis are an easy villain. We
Yeah.
still have
Yeah.
them,
You
but
can't
like
you
it's
can't
like
point at them and tell them, hey, white
like
people are bad guys. General white people
exactly
go, oh
like
no.
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
Osage murders, it's like, oh, we're the villains. I mean, not my family, but like
Yeah.
and like I'm
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, that's us. And like we're all like in some ways we're all profiting. Like this is kind of like this is the basis of the movie The Curse. Like we're all of the show The Curse. Like we're all profiting off these murders still, 100 years later. And like that's really hard. And also, the movie's length is also I mean, I cannot form a sentence. I think that the
You're doing
movie
great.
deserves to be, 3.5 hours long because it's Scorsese and it's a very important story and there's a lot to it. But I do think that if someone is like looking at a 3.5 hour movie about, genocide in America that we're all profiting from in some way, versus Oppenheimer, where it's like, I mean, Oppenheimer is very morally complicated and prickly. Like, it's not an easy movie. And it does confront us with truths about our own participation and stuff. But I think, as you're saying, like Nolan packages it in a way that is very accessible and very exciting and very propulsive to the movie's credit. But I think Colors of the Flower Moon is very languid, it's very atmospheric, it's very it is very like deliberately paced in a way that works for the movie, but I think it can be a deterrent for a very stubborn Academy voter who,
Yeah.
because as
Yeah.
much as diverse it is now, it's still overwhelmingly white and male and old.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
Sadly.
that generation is going to die off. But until then, we'll have to deal with this kind of taste that they might have.
Yeah.
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 Well,
Yeah.
speed up the process a little bit, someone.
Yeah. I would totally agree because it's like, we were, we did, friends and I were doing ballots, kind of like marking it who would win.
I was so close to winning. I just wanted to be clear. I fucked up
Yeah.
because I put Giamatti instead of
Oh,
Killian.
Oh
I would have
man.
won.
yeah, yeah. And
I thought there was gonna be an upset.
next year, yeah. And when we were handicapping these ballot picks, you kind of like thinking about it, and like, there's like one side of your brain like, oh, I want this to win, but it's like when you're thinking about, well, we're basing our picks on what Academy voters watch and what they like, and you're like, man, it's like this should win, but it's like it's totally not, because it's like with their taste and everything. It's very unfortunate because voters, some of them, you kind of read stories and like don't even watch the screeners,
Yeah,
and it's like,
it's
yeah,
always my kind of most anticipated part of the Oscars is when those articles start coming out and there
Oh,
are
I never
anonymous
read those.
voters
I
and
hate
then
those.
it's
Yeah,
it
so
they-
makes
like
you
they're-
lose
Jesus.
it
They're
makes
just
you lose
I
faith.
can't
infuriating.
deal. I
Yeah,
can't deal.
you lose faith in the world after
Yeah.
reading those.
I mean,
Yeah.
I will also say that, like, you know, I know Poor Things is kind of the villain today, which is fine. I mean, whatever. But I do think that that movie is very revolutionary for an Oscar-winning movie, especially a Best Actress winner, in terms of its like sexual content, its themes, it's very like go for broke style. It's a movie that is very like specific to Yorgos Lanthimos' vision, and he like ups his own, like, that was my second favorite movie of the year, so maybe I'm defending it, but like it's like it's very much like, I think, a very courageous movie that I think the Academy of 5-10 years ago would not have touched. And
Mm.
to see it get 11 nominations and 4 wins, and 3 of those are for technical stuff, so like fine, but like
Mhm.
to see like an actress win an Oscar for that is like kind of wild, because it's a very absurdist, go for broke, like out there performance. When like so it to me it's kind of hard, like there's a lot of baggage that comes with Lily Gladstone losing the Oscar, of course, like the racial component, the Scorsese component, the subject matter. But I think like pound for pound, it's really hard for me to say which one I like better, because they're both so different, and they're both so like they both play to their strengths of their actors in a way that is very exciting to watch. Like, Lily Gladstone's facial expressions, her like the way that she can convey an entire monologue with just her eyes. Like, she doesn't even need to talk, and I already know exactly what she's thinking. Or like that ending scene, like her last scene with Leo, I was like, it broke my heart.
Yeah.
I'm like, I knew the scene's coming, and I know that's this how this movie is going to turn out. But like, oh, and the bravery of like the radio ad when like her story doesn't even have a proper ending. It's just like, it's such a beautiful movie. Like I really am sad that like this movie did not get recognition, even as like the Oscar follower. It'd be like, well, actually, all the dots were there to like you could see in retrospect how this happened.
Well,
Yeah,
what you
it's-
should do in the
yeah.
future is have a ballot for what you think the biggest upset will be. Because I
Yeah,
think
honestly,
if I had thought about it, I probably would have picked that was probably going to be the biggest upset, because everything else seemed about.
I mean, I'm not even sure if it was a true upset in the way that like Olivia Colman was, when she won her Oscar, because like they've been sharing awards all season, like it would be like Emma would win one, then Lily Gladstone would win one, then Emma would win again, and then Lily Gladstone would win. And it's kind of like it was really, and then Sandra Hüller might win one, and you're like, wait, where did she come from?
Yeah, and at one point the dog just gonna
And
show
the
up, and you're like,
dog,
I
yeah.
guess, yeah, I guess that too, yeah, why not?
But the
But
biggest
yeah.
winner of the night is also the biggest person on the stage. In
Mhm.
fact, you could say they probably dwarfed the stage by quite a bit.
Oh,
It's
Oh.
Godzilla.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
Godzilla.
yeah,
Godzilla's
really.
an Oscar winner.
I'm so glad.
Ryan
this-
Gosling is
it's-
not that tall.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't it so cool? Isn't it so cool that a Godzilla movie won an award,
Oh
and the
my
award was
God.
presented by Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh,
What a
Godzilla!
cool thing to live through. I was asking Max last night, do you guys think Arnold watched Godzilla -1? Because I think he likes movies, like he's like
Yeah.
fairly movie buff, right?
No,
Yeah, I think so,
I
yeah.
think he's a star that actually likes movies. Not to
Yeah.
dwell too much on this, and we should start wrapping up.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
but
Wait, can I ask you one question? Did it
Yeah.
annoy any of you that they were acting like Schwarzenegger's Batman was Michael Keaton? It drove me crazy. I'm like,
it,
no,
I'm so glad
Yeah,
you said it.
yeah,
I didn't want to be a
that too.
buzzkill, but
Did not
yes, you're so right.
teach
It's not a
you. That was
buzzkill.
George Clooney.
Yes.
And Batman and Robin needs to be represented. It should not be forgotten. I was so mad. And like I don't get mad about that stuff,
Yeah.
but
You know
like
what would have
it was
nailed that bit is if just like they don't cut to him or anything like that, but when they're doing the bit, you just see Clooney kind of peek out from behind Keaton or something like that.
Yeah,
That would have like
exactly.
Yeah,
nailed it.
that would have been
That is
good.
perfect.
I don't think he was there, but
No,
No.
he's probably
I
making a new movie for Netflix or something.
I did
Yeah.
love that Keaton reaction. That just that little like
it was
it
very
great.
funny. But I
That
was like,
shift, he just turned into Batman immediately.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like, George Clooney will not be ignored. Okay, in some
Yeah,
ways he's my
no, he shouldn't be.
Batman.
No joke. I threw on Batman and Robin just as background noise because, like, say what you want about the movie, like it
Yeah.
or don't. Like,
Sure.
it's a lot of movie. It's
Yeah.
it's
It's
something to
that.
have on.
It's
You know?
people put thought into that. People put
It
thought
definitely
into that
contributed
movie.
to my
Yeah.
homosexuality. I will say that. Uma Thurman
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Rachel Silverstone.
Everyone's really hot in those movies.
Yeah.
The Joel Schumacher ones, they're just like attractive people.
Oh, okay. And the Schwarzenegger point, I just want to say, I do think he watches movies because look at his career up until he's governor and like maybe the late 90s. He's picking very interesting directors. Like obviously he starts working with James Cameron, which is just like slam dunk. He works with Paul Verhoeven. He was
yeah.
gonna work with Ridley Scott on an I Am Legend movie. Like
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that would have been. I
that
think that would have
dude
been
was
banger,
committed to craft. So
Yeah.
say what you
Well-
want about him as an actor sometimes, but that dude
Right.
was trying shit. So
Yeah, he
I'm willing to
was.
bet he did actually watch Godzilla.
Yeah, I think he liked it.
Yeah.
In my head canon, he liked it.
To be
But,
fair, I don't know
I-
anyone who didn't like Godzilla -1. So
Yeah, yeah. And I think because I brought this up, this was back on the episode A4E that I did back in December. Even if you didn't like it, there's still stuff to talk about. Because I know
Yeah.
people, because there were people I don't necessarily know, but there were critics I saw who didn't like it because of its portrayal of the Japanese during that time period. And its omission of certain aspects of history for that film to fit its narrative. I think that's totally fair. But yeah, seeing that win, seeing Godzilla -1 win was just something else. Incredible. I think that's the one thing I think everyone on the time I was just like, yeah, like
Yeah.
I thought unanimously everyone was like super excited about that. I was so hyped for it that during the recording yesterday, even before the recording, I had a dream of like an edit. And so while I was recording with A4E, I just quickly spliced together those clips. And so I made a little video clip of that video that goes around with Keanu Reeves and John Wick, where he says, "Yeah, I'm thinking," and it goes 5 stars and it plays cyberpunk
Yeah.
music. So I just spliced it and I just put a clip from YouTube of Godzilla roaring from -1, and he says, "Yeah, I'm thinking," and he just fucking scream, and I love it. But
please send that to me after this episode recording.
yeah, I'll put it in the group
Yeah,
chat.
it's funny. You showed me that. I was like, I was laughing.
But it warms my heart so much because I mean, I do know that they did get the team on stage and they got to talk. Also, brief moment. Did you guys see their shoes?
Of course, I saw their
Oh,
shoes.
I didn't.
I followed the artist immediately because I think he just got a surge in follows because people are like, yeah, we want those shoes.
Because
So
that was sick.
cross your
That dude's
fingers.
gonna sell out like immediately.
Yeah.
But for me personally, like I wanted Lily Gladstone to win, but like
Yes.
Godzilla winning was like that was. I was on a
was
high
very
when I
cool.
woke up this
Yeah,
morning.
I was screaming, yelling at the TV.
Is that the
when it won.
first Godzilla movie to win an Oscar?
That's,
Yeah.
that's correct. Yeah,
Wow.
that's
Which is
correct.
crazy because I really thought King of the Monsters from 2019, I was like, surely that was nominated at least for
No.
visual effects. And I'm like, I
I think
guess
visual
not.
effects
So
went to 1917.
Oh yeah, I think so.
We
Did
I
that
remember-
or
I remember the plane bit in that one.
yeah.
Yeah, we'd
I'll
really
just
have to
look
source
real
that.
quick.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Just to
I
yeah,
thought
that
really
is
quick.
wild. Yeah.
I thought Max was making a joke about King of the Monsters getting nominated because like I know people don't like that movie.
Mhm.
I like that movie, but
Yeah,
I know a lot of
it's a
people
good
don't.
movie. Yeah.
It's fun.
Great,
It's
yeah.
fun. People got hangups.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I do like King of the Monsters. Like that's not a joke. I on the A4E Discord, I'm like me and maybe 2 other people are like the defenders of that movie. Everyone's like, you can't see anything. It's bad. I'm like,
No,
boo,
no.
boo.
we don't have
King Ghidorah
time to
stands
get
over
into
a
why all those
blowing
people
up
are wrong.
mountain.
It's
I'll
yeah,
start
don't,
some. I'm
don't
gonna hop
wanna-
on Discord. I'm gonna start
worth
some,
my
some
time.
shit.
Not
'cause
worth my
people
time.
don't want to know what I think the worst MonsterVerse movie is. If you follow me on Twitter, you know what I think already.
Right. Yeah.
It's
But
Kong, isn't it?
that's such a terrible movie.
I
But anyways,
disagree.
did
but
you
okay.
find what won VFX in 2019?
The quickest Google search looks like it was First Man, which don't sound
Oh,
right.
huh.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
no, that,
First
that
Man.
was
Yeah.
20, that was
Yeah.
2018.
That does
King of the
sound-
Monsters is 2019, so it'd
Oh,
be the
wait.
2020
It was the
Oscars.
2020 Oscars, the Parasite year.
You
Yeah,
Paris,
okay.
yeah.
We could wrap up after this. Now I'm just super
Yeah.
curious. In
Yeah, it's kind of
1917.
bugging me too. Yeah.
1917,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
nominees were please hurry up and load. 1917, Irishman, Endgame, get the fuck out. Lion King,
Yeah.
Rise of Sky.
You know, hey, look, weird lineup to say the least. Rise of
Yeah.
Skywalker has some great effects in it. Not always, but
sure,
there's
yeah.
some good shit there. Okay.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have been the worst win.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's the episode. We clearly have a lot to say, so follow us
Yeah.
all on Twitter. Links down below, but mostly follow our great guest, Manish Mathur. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
joining us today.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. Thanks a lot.
It's
I'll
nice fun to
I'll
meet
put
you.
your links in the description below. But if you want to shout out anything else you got going on, it pod to be you. You mentioned coming back in April.
Yeah, it'll come back in April. We just celebrated our 100th episode and did a tribute to Gone Girl, which is like the I think,
Hell yeah.
ultimate romantic comedy. And so a lot of fun. Got a lot of guests just to talk for a few minutes about the movie and sort of its kind of legacy in the last 10 years that it's been out. So check that out. It's a really fun episode. I'm really proud of it. And of course, listen to Diego and me talk about Rosemary's Baby back in that was last year, and Romancing Stone, which was like peak pandemic time. I think it was like August 2020 or something.
Yeah.
So check out for that, and yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
No, of course.
Thank
Like
you.
you're welcome back anytime. Thank you for coming on. Have a good rest of your night. Everyone else, enjoy the rest of your days. This will be uploaded the following morning, so enjoy the rest of your day. Yeah, okay. Like and subscribe if you didn't like this episode. Like and subscribe anyways, because you might find something you do like. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We have been professionally unprofessional. Take care.